This idea here that's in the text, here, I'm going to just read the section. Common to these approaches is the assumption that reality is constructed and cannot be fathomed out or explained with direct reference to universal laws. The interest of researchers operating in this tradition is in the meanings or the interpretations. Knowledge is gleaned using qualitative techniques, and theory thus evolves in a grounded way. Qualitative research paradigms are becoming increasingly fashionable. I wouldn't really say that makes it seem like it's a clothing trend, but I would say qualitative research paradigms are recognized as valid and beneficial increasingly, and uh, and that qualitative science it has been a recognized means of generating knowledge in the social sciences for some time. This isn't a recent phenomenon. But this idea of the contrast between a positivist approach and a constructivist approach is a really common one, and you will come across this even though these terms might not be used in reading the research articles. You will come across the underlying arguments that are more positivist arguments, or some arguments that are more constructivist based. And so having an understanding of these two basic perspectives, positivism or constructivism, is an important one for any researcher going forward. No matter what subject area they're researching, it's important to recognize the differences between these two approaches. And I'm going to give you a high level overview of the major differences between these two approaches. In a positivist approach, the overriding understanding is that there is one reality, that all organisms and all objects, all things are participating in this one reality, and that it is the job of science to analyze, discover, describe, explain that reality, and that's doable, and that human beings, even though we are of that reality, that we are somehow endowed with capacities to objectively remove ourselves from it and objectively study and explain this reality, even though we're a part of it. That's the positivist approach. And a constructivist approach says, because we're a part of that reality, and because of our biology and our psychology and our sociology, all of these things that are happening uh, live for any human being at any given moment, that those attributes uh, prevent us from accessing and truly objectively describing this one reality. Constructivism also goes on to say that this reality thing that we're trying to describe and explain is a co-constructed thing. It isn't a real thing. It is something that human beings have conceived of, and um, and that needs to be taken into account. And so that's why it's called constructivism, and it's this idea that we are co-constructing as human operators or agents. We are co-constructing our reality with the other individuals that we engage with all the time. So um, that there's this, especially with social science research, that there's always this interplay between the researcher and the individuals that the researcher is collecting data from, that that doesn't allow the researcher to ever truly remove themselves from the reality and be this totally objective observer or analyzer of the data. And there's more you can look up. There's lots and lots and lots that's been written, and there's more epistemologies besides positivism and constructivism. You can look up what those are and read more about them. But this underlying tension that exists between positivism and constructivism is something that you will, like I said, you will notice that in the articles that you read. And so when you're reading them and building your literature review, you may find yourself tending to um, prefer one of those epistemologies over the other. And it's the embedded epistemology that's within the research article that you're reading. And so that's an important thing to keep tabs on is, am I taking a positivist approach to this, or am I leaning more toward the constructivist approach?